Hey guys, in this video we are going to talk about Mixins. So I'm going to start building up a little app here, and Mixins are a really easy way for us to transfer functionality to multiple components at one time. So here in my app, I'm going to say, let's get a div wrapper on the page. I'm going to have two components, and the first one's going to be button component, and I'm going to pass that some props. So that's going to be, this is the button. And the second one is, let's say it's going to be input component. Same thing, except this is the input. So let's go ahead and create those components. Button, oops, component. That's just going to return a button. And we'll pass in this props text. And then we'll do the same thing for the input. In this case, it'll be an input. We'll say the value is equal to this props text. We'll close the input. Let's get our app on the page. Render that to a div called app. Okay, so let's just try that out really quick. Input component is not defined. Oh, you know what? Input component. Okay. So there's our, this is the button, and there is our, this is the input. Now let's say I want both of these on the component will mount. To go ahead and just log out will mount. So I can go to each one and say on component will mount, log that out. Or what I can do is create a mixin. So I'm going to say this is my React mixin. It's an object, and I'm just going to say component will mount, console log, will mount. Now I can have each of these inherit that by adding mixins, and that's an array because we can pass multiple mixins. And so what do we call it? React mixin. So I can just drop that there and drop it here in this component. Now when I load them up, they both say will mount. We can also pass in any sort of custom functionality we want. So let's say on the get initial state, I'm going to set a count to 0, and I'm going to create increment count as a function. And I'm just going to say this.setState count is this state count plus 1. And then down here, what I can do is, let's say on the button, let's say on click equals this, increment count, and then we'll output that here. Load that up, and when we click it, it's incrementing the count. Now, in our input component, let's say that on the component will render, and this is important, that we can have, or I'm sorry, component will mount, we can add our mixin into a phase that already exists within the component, and React will just merge them. So we'll just have more than one component will mount execution. So component will mount here, we'll say, let's do an interval. Let's have this one update by itself. So this dot increment count every second. And then we'll make the value on that this props text plus this state count. So let's try that out. And now in the input, it's using that increment count function to increment every second. And on the button, it's tied to the click. So there you go. That's a quick look at mixins with React. Again, it's a great way to just kind of pass down some sort of functionality to multiple components at the same time without having to code it right into the component itself.